Hello all, my name is Deepak. I'm an engineering manager in Red Hat. I'm based out of Red Hat's Pune office in India. And in today's talk, we are going to talk about the AI job displacement. You might have by now read all the conspiracy theorists as well as normal business people like CEOs of big organizations talking about how they are going to replace engineers with AI and HRs with AI and all other roles with AI in coming future. And you might have also heard people like influencers and everyone talking to you like, how can you navigate this change? But the thing in very generic AI career advice is that they don't know what you are doing, right? They don't know your Jira plate. So how can someone who does not know what work you are doing day to day advise you on whether your job would be replaced by AI or not? So this talk is more about finding a way to judge yourself whether your job is at risk for the advancements in AI. Okay, let's start. So what we are going to discuss today is, as I said, the general AI career advice. It sucks. It's not good for anyone. It does more harm than good to the people who are listening to that kind of advice. So there is a framework called Cynefin. It's a Welsh word which means habitat. It's not a 2x2 grid. It's a sense-making framework. So what we'll do today is we'll understand a bit about this framework. How does it help us in understanding complexity? And then we'll use the same framework to understand are our jobs or the work that we do on a day-to-day basis at the risk of displacement by the AI. So in the agenda, we'll do a quick intro to Cynefin, and then we'll understand 5 domains. We'll do a job domain mapping exercise, and I'll also do a small quiz. So you have to pay attention when I explain Cynefin's 5 domains, because I'm going to ask you quiz. And then we'll also see a vulnerability scale, and in the end discuss some actionable strategies for navigating this change. Okay. Introduction to Cynefin. If you look at the image at the left side of the screen, you'll see that there are 4 domains. It's not a 2x2 grid because that would then not be a framework. That would then be a model where you put some data and then it gives you an output. So the first domain is the clear domain, which is an order domain, which means that both the cause and the effect are known. When you look at the problem, both the cause and the effect are known. Think about drawing a line on the paper. If nothing changes, let's say that you have a pen with unlimited ink and you have tons of same papers, A4 size, and if I ask you to draw a line on paper, irrespective of whether those lines look the same or not, you'll be able to draw the line on paper every time I ask you. So there is a predictability of the outcome because the line is getting drawn, and you can see at the problem, and anyone if efficiently can do it, right? There is no expertise needed to draw a line on a piece of paper. There are less variables to think of, right, in this equation. So the second domain is complicated domain, where there are constraints, but they are knowable. You can if you pay some attention or you're an expert, you know the constraints in that equation. So the third domain is complex domain. There are too many variables in the equation. Some you can control, some you cannot. So the cause and effect is known in the hindsight, like a football game between two top teams, right? You cannot predict the winner. But once the match has finished, you then use your expertise of watching the game for so many years to tell whether your favorite team lost because they did this and this badly and they should have done this and that. The last domain, not the last, the second last domain is chaotic domain, which talks about domain in which you don't understand the problem itself. Like there are too many fires to douse, so you're not able to strategize or analyze the problem. You just take some action and then see whether things are improving, and then iterate over that problem. And in the center, where you see this tornado kind of thing, is a confused domain where people don't know what domain they are in, right? Now I'll give you detailed examples of each. Think about an IKEA chair, right? An IKEA chair that you can buy and assemble at home. It comes with screws and 2 Allen keys and all the things that you require to assemble an IKEA chair. Plus it also comes with a manual, right? If we put the same IKEA example in a clear domain, what would happen is you will take the chair, the steps are clear, the parts are labeled, so the steps are in sequence. You go through the steps, you assemble the chair, and you are done. If you buy that chair for 100 times, you will still be able to assemble that chair. If somebody else buys that chair, he or she will be able to assemble that chair again, right? Because everything is, the cause and effect is clear to everyone who looks at this problem of assembling an IKEA chair. Now, if we put the same chair in a complicated domain, imagine I'm buying that chair for myself, and what I note on the chair box is that it only supports 80 kgs of weight. Now, I don't want to give it back. I want to reinforce it using a piece of wood so that it can handle my 88 kgs of weight, right? Now, this is not a problem that is documented by IKEA. So what I need is some expertise in doing this carpentry work earlier in my life, or I can call my dad, because that generation was with their hand drills and spanners, the DIY generation, they used to do this kind of stuff, right? So I can use his expertise and make that change in the chair so that it supports my weight. Now this problem is not repeatable, right? Sometimes I might build a chair that supports my weight, and sometimes I might fail, right? So even though the cause and effect to some extent is repeatable, but it's not to the degree where anyone else can, without expertise, add reinforcement to an IKEA chair, right? Okay, so by now we are done with 2 domains, right? Clear domain, where everyone can solve a problem because the cause and effect is clear, and complicated domain, where you need some kind of expertise. In terms of software, writing a function that returns something, takes some arguments and returns something would be simple domain, clear domain. Cause and effect are known. Writing an architecture of an application, MVC application, would be complicated domain, because you need to have worked writing software for, let's say, 2 years, 5 years to be able to architect some kind of application. Okay, now the third domain, the complex domain. As I said with the football game example, the cause and effect are only clear in the hindsight. You don't know them beforehand, right? So what you do is you probe, sense and respond. Now again the IKEA chair example. So you have bought 5 chairs over last 5 years, and you have a lot of IKEA chair parts. You want to build some kind of your custom IKEA chair Pro Max with, I don't know, brown handles and white seat, some kind of custom chair, right? IKEA hasn't documented it. What you are doing now is you are trying combinations, sitting on it, checking whether it works or not, are you comfortable in it? And then you slowly refine the build by making small changes. Again, you need some kind of carpentry expertise, right? Either you or someone else. But to be able to work in a complex domain, you need the expertise. Plus, you cannot make a best practice because it's not documented. Now, the chaotic domain, no clear cause and effect, right? So you act first, you sense what happened, and then you respond. Okay? So think about this same scenario now, IKEA chair scenario. You just moved to a new apartment or a new place. While shifting, pieces from several different furniture kits got mixed up. The instruction manual got lost. You are trying to build the chair, but it's moving, it's shaking when you sit on it. And some important guests are coming who would like to sit on that chair, that specific chair, right? So what would you do now? Right? There is no document. The parts are not labeled. So there are too many variables now. There is no chance of a clear cause and effect. So what will you do now? You will try to do something, right, to fix it. You are running against time. And then you try to sit on it. You see that it's still shaking. And then you make the changes. But there is, as I said, you are running against time. You will either pass or fail, right? But that's not the point. The point is you are in a chaotic domain, right? You are running against time and there is no sense of cause and effect. And there is no one to tell you what to do. You are the primary decision maker and you have to show your judgment. Okay, the last domain, confused domain. So it is a domain where you don't know what domain you are in. There are only 4 domains, but this is an additional domain where you don't know what domain you are in. So it's like you open the box, you see all the parts, you feel overwhelmed, you don't know what to do with all these parts. So we can safely skip this domain. Now, we are going to do some, as I said, I explained all the 4 major domains. Forget about the confused domain. With the examples, with the example of an IKEA chair, there was the clear domain, there was a complicated domain where you need expertise, there was a complex domain where you learn about something in the hindsight, and then there was a chaotic domain where it's a complex domain plus you are running against time. Now you have to think about your last task. It can be a Jira, it can be an email. Your last task from your work. And think about what domain does it live in. What did you do last at your work? What MR did you send? What code review did you do? What tests did you write? Or what quarterly connection did you fill? Or what performance review did you do if you are into people management? And think about anyone else without instructions, their ability to repeat their task, or their ability to, without any expertise, their ability to repeat their task infinite number of times. And with that, I'll start my quiz. You just have to raise your hands. So the task is, I'll name the task and you have to tell me out of the 4 domains, which domain does this task live in, right? So the task is you are adding a new mandatory field to a registration. There is an existing registration form on a web page or a web portal. Your job as a backend developer or maybe a full stack developer, we don't have budget for hiring 2 separate developers right now. So as a full stack developer, your job is to first add a new field to the service and then expose that new field. It's a mandatory field, so don't forget to put that red mark on it on the front end, and then saving it to database and making sure that it is getting saved and retrieved when you want to see that. Now, can you raise your hands? What domain does this task fit in? Clear? Yes, please. Clear, correct. So this is a clear task. Any junior developer, even worth their grain of salt, can code this easily, repeatably, and the output is there for them to verify on the spot. So this is a clear task, right? Now stay with me. We'll go to second question. An emergency rollback is needed after a production deployment broke user login. So you have an e-commerce website that is making thousands of dollars or euros, and it's a Black Friday sale or whatever sale we have here in Europe, and the customers are angry because they are not able to spend their hard-earned money on that Black Friday sale, trying to purchase stuff they don't really need. So tell me, raise your hands, what domain does this task live in? You say why do you say complicated? Right. Anyone else? It might be complex. Right. So it is chaotic because it is complex by the looks of it, but you are also running against the time. So every minute you delay the rollback, you are losing money, right? So if let's assume the rollback steps are very clear, it's just one push of the button. So you can go ahead and do rollback, but you are running against the time. And we'll in the end we'll discuss why this matters, right? Okay, quiz 3: designing an auto scaling strategy for cloud workloads using benchmarking and analysis. Anyone? Complicated is correct. Yes, you need expertise. It's not that everyone does it every day, but if you have done it once and you have a background in DevOps, you can do it, right? Just needs the expertise. Okay, question 4: creating a hiring pipeline for junior developers using standard HR tools and processes. Raise your hands. We had to touch on non-technical topics as well, right? Why do you say complex? But it's not mentioned in the task. Sorry? It's not mentioned in the task. Yeah. Right. That's a fair point. Are you talking about Workday? Yeah, it is clear. It is clear because there is a standard. When you hear the word standard or a document, whenever, remember the IK chair example, wherever there was a clear manual, you don't face problems then, right? AI is going to read that manual and every other manual thousands of times. Okay, last question. Reorganizing a team that senior people, senior managers and VPs and directors always like to do. Their favorite activity after golf. Reorganizing a team to improve cross-functional collaboration and morale. Exactly, this is clear because see, whatever reason they tell you before the reorganization, they'll change the goalpost once the reorganization is done and if that goal is not met. All right, I think you all did really good with the answers, so a small applause for all of you. Okay, so this is the vulnerability scale. You still have to think about the last task you did or maybe last 10 tasks that you did at your work. If the predictability of the outcome, you know the predictability of the outcome of those tasks in the collectiveness of those tasks, the AI displacement of that job that you are doing increases. So they are inversely proportional to each other. Now, if that's the case, what should we do? The first thing that we need to do is, as I said, map your tasks to domains. So if I look at my Jira board or whatever task, we sometimes note our tasks, right, in Notepad or something. This is the stuff that I'm going to finish today, right? So map your tasks to these 4 domains. If majority of my tasks are in the clear domain, I don't think it needs any wise person to tell me that my job is at risk, right? If I am doing majority of tasks in the clear domain. So what you have to do is map your tasks to the domains, identify the domain shifts. The same job role, domain shifts means same job role can move across domains, right? If I'm an engineering manager, I could be doing a lot of clear work and still being successful in the evaluation criteria of my manager versus myself identifying consciously that I'm not doing that great even though I'm getting good feedback from my manager. So I should either delegate my clear tasks like creating that onboarding checklist for a new employee, which is based on the standard HR processes, such tasks to someone else or automate them and move on to doing tasks which require judgment, strategy, ethics, creativity and empathy, right? And now the thing is, half of the tasks that we do, if they are clear, we can either automate them or delegate them to AI, like writing a proposal document or writing a big email. So this is, I think this is what people meant by that you have to embrace AI. By embracing AI, the goal was to delegate your clear tasks to AI and to some extent slightly complicated tasks as well. Okay, so I'm a purist in terms of presentation, so I always leave people with some call to action at the end of sessions. So you, as I said, you might have read about AI and everything, especially generative AI. You know it's just math, right? It's just tokens getting encoded and then decoded back to you. There is no reasoning, there is nothing. But when you look at the clear domain, there is a predictability, right? As I said, in clear domain, there is predictability. But when you look at how models work, they are stochastic. So how does something which does not know anything about cause effect, in this case models, are able to work very perfectly with clear domain tasks? So you have to ask this question to yourself. If I was listening to this session, I would ask this question to myself. The hint here is models are trained on a lot of data, right? And majority of that data itself is in the clear domain. Nobody trains a model on 1 question and 5 answers, correct? All right. So with that, I'm open to questions now. I just have 3 minutes left, right? Any questions? Say that again.
If you think this theory will apply in 10 years' time, like as the AI progresses also, and the algorithm might be much better.
So it's recorded.
Shall I repeat? So I was asking if you think that this theory will be applicable or will apply in 10 years' time from now. That still it's just sort of about the clear domain and not about the others.
I honestly don't think so. I don't think AI would ever move into complex and chaotic domains. So you know that self-driving cars have been in this world for, I don't know, 15 years, 20 years now, maybe more than that. I'll use a self-driving car to drive myself to, without a driver, to, let's say, from place A to place B. But I'll never let, let's say, my 4-year-old kid to go from place A to place B in a second. So wherever there is trust and some kind of mission critical thing, or money or life is at stake, we don't trust any machine unless there is a human in the loop, right? So robotic surgery is okay, but when it is under a trained surgeon or someone, right? So the thing is, AI working with human in the loop who is also an expert, so automatically part of the complicated domain, and their judgment goes on well with the complex domain and chaotic domain. You had a question?
Seeing you are from Red Hat, how do you actually use Cynefin in the corporation and your day-to-day, quote-unquote, decision-making process with your reports or your peers or your managers? Because I've learned Cynefin some time ago. I was considering using it in the corporation for like strategical decisions and discussions around, but I kind of fear facing the situation of approaching my either manager or my peers, having to do the whole explanations of Cynefin and not necessarily having them see the value for quite some time. So I'm interested in your personal experience within the company.
That's a great question. In 2019, I am from a QE background. In 2019, there was a QE conference in Red Hat, and I did the same talk, trying to persuade everyone in QE. If we go, let me go back to the first slide. The clear domain. This is the only domain where best practices apply, right? Testing is a creative art, as you know, right? There is no best practice in testing a software. If you document it, it becomes a test case, but testing is an activity, test case is a document. So I tried to persuade people that there are no best practices in testing. So you have to be very exploratory when you are testing a software, because your company's value that it gives to customers depends on it. So I think I have done my fair share as a leader of QE organization at that time, fair share of evangelism in spreading the benefits of Cynefin to my teams in Red Hat. But as you say, it's very difficult, right? But this is not something that you implement. This is a self-help technique, right? You're not going to talk about this to someone else, right? I'm talking to you all because I had to. But for every one of you, this is a self-help thing. You just have to go back to your work, look at your plate of work and do the domain to task mapping exercise. And if you see a proportionately high number of clear tasks, then you have to be alert about it. Right? It cannot go on. Right? You understand that, right? If you have a ton of clear tasks on your list, regardless of your job profile, whether you are an IC or a manager or an HR, that's a risk. Any other questions? Thank you, everyone.